In this video, we'll be building our authentication screens using React Native with Expo Router. Now let's get to the code. Alrighty, so we're gonna start off with just setting up our folder structure. So what we're gonna need over here is our auth folder, right? And our actual components folder. Components. Alrighty. So then the next thing is we want to first set up like our two screens over here. So in our stack.screen, right? We want to set up like our actual sign-in screen. So this is going to come from auth, and then we're going to have a screen called sign in. Then the sign-in screen will have its own option shown, which is going to be set to false, right? And then the same thing that's going to happen with the actual sign up, right? So with the sign up, we're just going to change this to actually say it's actually sign up, right? But now we need to actually create those screens, right? So we said this is going to come from our actual auth over here. So in our auth, we'll just set up like a signin.js file. So this should have been signin.js file, and we'll also set up a signup.js file, right? And then we'll just say React Native that, right? React Native function export component, right? So we'll set both of those ones, right? And then we'll go back in our actual layout over here and just try to set like a use effect over here. So this will just be just an empty use effect, so that on initial render, right, what we're just gonna do is we just want to land on our actual sign-in page, right? So we need to first set up like our router, which is equal to our use router. So this use router is coming from Expo Router, right? And then over here we're just gonna say this is gonna be router.push, right? And what we're actually gonna be pushing over here is gonna be our Expo, nope, this is auth sign in. Sign in like that. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and try to actually reload that. Okay, what we're gonna do is actually kill our app, and we shall try to actually scan this. Okay, let's stop, right? And we'll just say clear, then expo start, and then we're just gonna try to actually scan and see what we have. Alrighty, that might take a bit of a moment. So what I'm gonna do over here is scan this QR code. And once that has been scanned, our app should actually start up. Okay, so let's see. So what we're actually expecting is landing on a sign in screen over here. But let's see what it actually has for us. Alrighty. So that will just download for now, right? So whilst that's still like busy downloading, right, we'll actually come over here in our actual like sign in screen and actually start creating the layout for that, right? So we'll use like a safe area view, right, which is coming from our React Native, right, safe area, right? And then over here, what we'll then do is actually we'll have like a view, because we're creating out like a sign in page. So we're gonna have like some sort of like a view. So within this view, we'll have like our actual styles, right? So as you can see, this has actually landed on our actual sign in screen. So which means that actually works, right? So before I actually set up like the styles for that, let me just set like my actual constant variables, right, for my style sheet, which is coming from style sheet.create, right? And then that's what I need. So let me just import this the style sheet from React Native, right? So what I'm actually gonna do over there is I'm gonna have like a styled named container, right? So this is gonna be styles.container, right? So this is gonna be styles.container, right? And then I'll actually do the stylings afterwards, right? Alrighty. So after doing that styles.container, what we're gonna put it over here is our actual text, right? Because we're gonna have like a text and another text, right? So with the first text over here, we're just gonna have an actual text that says login, and the second text over here will say welcome back, you've been missed, right? So this is gonna also be wrapped into like a view, so we can have that just at the top. So this is gonna be called style, right? And this is gonna come from our styles dot header container, right? And then all of this is gonna be wrapped into that, right? Alrighty, so that's what we're gonna have for now, right? And then the next thing that we're gonna do over here is actually now set up like our styles dot this is gonna be called our heading text, okay, right? And then we're gonna have like our other style over here. This is gonna be called styles. This is gonna be styles dot intro text, right? So this is coming from styles dot intro text. Okay, but now we can just go ahead and just begin actually creating our actual styles, right? So for our actual container, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set like a padding horizontal, right? This is gonna set like the padding left and right to 20. And then what we're gonna do is gonna set our padding top. We're gonna just make this 71 pixels, and then our width and height is just gonna be set to 100%. So it's just 100%, and our height is also gonna be set to 100%. Alrighty, so now you can see that our text is just pushed to the bottom, right? A bit. So then now what's gonna happen is we're gonna set up like our actual header container. So with our actual header container, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set like our align item to center, right? So after aligning our items to center, we're gonna set up like the row gap to space these to separate those, right? So the row gap over there is gonna be 26, and then the width is gonna be set to 100%. Alrighty, so let's see what we have. So we can see that our text is set up in the middle, which is fine, and we've actually spread that up, right, with a row gap of 26 pixels. Okay, so the next thing that we would want to then do is actually now go ahead and set our heading text, right? So for our actual heading text, heading text, right? So what we're gonna set over there for our actual heading text is our color. So the color that we're gonna use is this color over here. Then we're gonna have like a font weight, and our actual font weight is gonna be set up to be bold, which is 700. right? And our flex wrap, I'm gonna set this up to wrap. I don't think we even need that. Yeah, but yeah, anyways, right, let's see what that actually gives us, right? So this is gonna be set up to that over there. So what's actually happening, right? So let me just try to reload. So this is styles.heading text, and we've actually set up like the color, that okay. So let's actually go ahead and actually set up like our actual font size, which is going to be set up to be 30, right? So now we see that we've got a bit of a problem, right? So our app is actually crashing, but now let's just go ahead and actually try to, okay, start it up again. Okay, whilst we wait for the app to actually load, right? Because we'll need to just scan this again. So what I'll do is crash the app, scan that, and actually see what's actually happening, right? So we'll then also set up like our intro. We'll set up our intro text. So this is going to be set up to our actual intro text. And the stylings for our actual intro text would be, our font size is going to be set up to 20 pixels. So we're going to have a font size of 20 pixels, right? A font weight of 600, right? And our width over here is going to be 228 pixels, right? Okay, let's see. Alrighty, so yeah, we're seeing something over here, right? So what's actually happening is that our intro text is being styled. Oh, but we actually made a mistake over here with our text, right? So we said styles instead of style. That's why it wasn't applying that style, right? So, and then another thing that we want to set up here is text align and set that out to center, right? So this will properly just center out the stuff. And yeah, basically, this is what we're gonna need, right? Okay, and then we're also gonna have like another view over here. And with this view, this is where we're gonna actually set up like our actual inputs. So just say styles, so style, right? So this is gonna be styles dot input container. So these are just going to be for our actual inputs, right? But what we want to do for our actual input is, because we're going to be reusing like the inputs, right? The input, the text input. So what we want to do is actually set up like a actual component for that, right? So over here, I'll just call this custom input, right? .js. So I'll just call this our actual custom inputs.js, and then React Native, that. Okay. Alrighty, so this is what we actually gonna need over there, and I'll just keep this as simple as possible, right? So the only thing that we're just gonna need over there to set up is our actual, so destructure, we'll destructure our actual props, and we'll just need a placeholder, and then is secure, which is just gonna be a boolean, right? And that's just the only props we're gonna pass in there, right? Okay, righty. So now the next thing that we'd want to do over here is, okay, we'll wrap everything in a view, right? And then we'll just set up like our actual text input, which is from our actual React Native. And then I'm just going to close this up. so you can actually see. So what's gonna happen over here is we'll set our placeholder, right? And our placeholder will be set up to placeholder, right? And what we then want to do is actually set up our styles, right? So our style is gonna be from styles dot text. We'll just say text input. Input. Alrighty. So I see I just made a mistake. Okay, but let me just do this first. Right, styles sheet. It's styles sheet, which is from React Native. Then we're just gonna use the create. Then we're just gonna set text input, and then here I just need to use styles, right? Styles, and then this is gonna be text input, right? So then for our actual text input, what we'll need over here is actually setting up the actual text inputs, right? So if I go ahead over here, I'll actually set up like our actual height for this input will be 64 pixels, right? Our actual then width for the actual input would be set up to like 100%, right? We'll need a background color. So our background color is, we'll just be using this background color, right? And then we'll need a border width. So with our border width, we'll use 1 as our border width border color, right? That's just the color of our actual border. We'll just use this. We'll set up like we wanted to have like some sort of like a border radius of like 10 pixels. Yeah, so basically let me just save this and actually use the component so you can see what I'm actually talking about, right? So if I go back to this the sign-in screen and actually now use our actual custom. So if I actually use our actual custom input, okay, what happened? So this should be custom input. All right, alrighty. So if I were to use our custom input like that and that and that, right? So if I were to use our custom input like that, I'll need to import that over there, set the placeholder, and this will be set up to like email, and that's just it, right? So if I go ahead and actually save that up, you'll see that we actually do get this input, right? So now the next thing that we'll need to do is actually set up like our actual padding left. So with padding left, we'll set this out to 20 pixels. Alrighty, so that's just what we're gonna need, and we also want to set up like our actual so we'll actually want to set up over here our actual placeholder color, right? So this is gonna be set up to this color. Okay, now if you see over here, now you see there's a slight change, right, to our actual text like input. Alrighty, so once we've already built that, now we can actually reuse this component over here and use another text input, custom input, right? So for this custom input, we'll just say this is a password, and then we'll just use this is secure and set that to true, right? But currently what will happen is if I enter this email, right, that shows, and then if I enter the password, right, it shows the text, which is what we don't want, right? So if we want to fix that, we'll go to our custom inputs component over here, right? And then we'll set a property here, which is secure text entry. And then we'll just use this is secure which is a boolean, right? So since we've actually set that up to is secure, right? So this should actually secure that text. Alrighty. So now hence you can see if I just try to enter stuff over there, this should actually secure that text, right? So hence you're not actually seeing the text here. All right. So the next thing that we would want to then do is go back here and actually set our actual inputs containers styles, right? So we come here, input container. So the only thing we're gonna set over here is the row gap, which is gonna be set to 29 pixels, and the margin top, right? So margin top is gonna be set up to 71 pixels, right? Alrighty. So the row gap will set the spacing between the actual two inputs, and then the actual margin top will just set the margin top over there, right? So now we're gonna then create our actual forgot password, right? So over here, the only thing we'll need over here is just the text input, which will say forgot your password, right? So if you forgot your password, and then this is gonna be set to styles, right? Dot forgot text, right? So this is gonna be styles dot forgot text. Okay, I'll just try to add more, like to my actual skeleton over here. So this is gonna be now set to our touch opacity, which is our button that we're trying to create, right? So we use a touchable opacity over here, and we'll just set like our actual on press, right, to null, right? So it won't actually do anything, right? So it'll just be an empty function, and yeah, that's what we're gonna need. And we'd also want to set our styles for this. So for that over there, what we want to do is actually set this to styles.button. Alrighty, and then in here we'll have to have like some sort of like a text. So with this text that we're gonna set up over here is gonna be sign in text. Righty. So we could have made this like a component, because we know even in our actual register screen we might need this button, right? But I'll just keep it like this for now. Alrighty, so once we've actually created like our actual button, so if I go ahead and actually save over there, okay, I first need to import this touchable opacity. So over here, this is touchable opacity. You just need to make sure that you remove this from React Native Web, right? So if I go ahead now and save that, you'll see that my button is there, but I haven't actually added any stylings to it, right? So alrighty, so then the next thing that I'll need is also set up like some text over there. And for my text is create new account, right? So this is going to be set up to style, and styles dot account text. Alrighty, so this is going to be styles dot accounts text, right? And then over here, after that, we just want to set like a view, because we also want to allow like a user to actually, so we want to allow a user to actually be able to use like an OAuth, right? So they'll actually be able to log in using Google, Facebook, or Apple, right? Sign in, right? Okay, so this will say styles.auth container. So this is just gonna be for our OAuth container, right? So yeah, let me just first go ahead and actually, okay, now I'll just need to also set the styles for that. And then this is just gonna be styles.btn text. And let me just go ahead and actually try and actually style this stuff, right? Alrighty, so we're just gonna then have like a button over there. We wanna set like a background color, right? So our background color for that is gonna be that color. Then we just wanna set like our border radius. So our border radius is gonna be set to 10, right? Width is gonna be set out to 100 pixels, right? So if you want for these colors, like what you can do is you can create like a constant themes folder, and you can just define those colors there, right? So and then we're just gonna set up like a justify content, right, to center, and also gonna say align items is gonna be set up to center, right? Alrighty, so that's what we're gonna have currently. And what I'm gonna do, instead of setting the height, right, I'll just gonna set like a padding vertical, right? And my actual padding vertical is gonna be set up to like 15 pixels, right? So if I set up a padding, I think made a mistake. Padding vertical, which is 15 pixels. Alrighty, so that's what we need, right? And then we're just gonna then set up like our actual shadow, right? Our box shadow. So we'll just set like an elevate of 2, right? Shadow opacity. So for our shadow opacity, we'll just set that to 0.5. Righty, and then our shadow color is gonna be set up to this color. Okay, this is looking all good. So now let's go ahead and set up like our actual button text, right? So for our button text, the only things that we're gonna do here is the actual color. We'll just give it a white color, right? Then our font size is gonna be set up to 20 pixels, and we're gonna have like a font weight of like 500, right? Alrighty, so that's our button for us, right? So let's just also style our forgot text over there. So for our forgot text, we'll just need to set like the color of that to using this hash that for our actual color, and then our text align is going to be set up to the right. So just needed to separate that. So that's going to be set out to right. Align, right? Then the font weight for this is going to be 600, and our margin vertical, which is just going to be the top and bottom margin, is going to be set out to 30. So that will just nicely spread that out, right? So then the next thing is account text over here. So with our actual accounts text, we'll go ahead and actually set the color. So the color for our actual accounts text is going to be set to this. Then our margin top of 65 pixels. Okay, so that should be fine. And then we're gonna have like some sort of small semi-bold, right? And you'll see why I'm actually like adding this, right? So I want to have like a similar small text styling, right? That I'm also going to use for this actual text over here, right? So since I'm going to be using two types of styling, I'll just make that an array, then say styles, right? Styles dot small, yes, that, right? So now let's go ahead and actually set those styles up, right? So we'll just set a font weight here of 600, font size, which is going to be our 14 pixels, right? And our actual text align is going to be set up to center. Alrighty, so this is all we'll need, right? So, and then what I would also want to do over here is actually set like a clickable or an on press event on this, right? So this will be an on press event, and with this on press event, it will just call an error function and just say from router dot push auth dot forward slash sign up, right? So the moment I click this button, I wanna go to the sign up screen, right? But the error that I'm facing over here is router is not defined, so I'll just need to say that router, save that and actually use that from the expo router. So now if I go ahead and click that, that will send me to my actual sign up screen, right? So, but if I were to reload the app, it should take me back to where I was at. So, okay, righty, back to the actual sign in screen, right? So this is pretty much looking all good, right? So the next thing that I would want to create over here is our actual OAuth container, right? Dot uh, uh, JS file, right? Okay, so what we want to do over there is actually set up like our OAuth container, right? So with this, I'll just use the React Native functions, functional export component, right? And I'll use OAuth container, right? That's OAuth container. What did I do wrong? Okay. Alrighty. So this is looking all good, right? So that's looking all good. So let's just set up like our actual const styles, right? Which is gonna be styles sheet. Our actual styles sheet, and then that's gonna be create, and here we'll just say we're using our actual style sheet. Okay, so we'll just set up our style equals to styles dot container, right? Because here we'll just be using that container. So what we will do over there is actually set like our padding vertical, right, to 10 pixels, and our padding horizontal is gonna be set up to like 15 pixels, right? Alrighty. So, and then what we then want to add in here is actually our actual icon, right? So what we'll use is use font awesome, right? So with font awesome, what we then can do is we can use this font awesome, right? We're gonna then have the name of the icon that we want to use, and this is gonna be coming from our actual props. So we'll destructure our actual icon name, So our actual icon name is going to come over here, and our color is going to be set up to be a black color. Yeah, so basically this is what we just going to need, right? We also want to set up like our background color. So our actual background color over there is going to be set out to that. And yeah, let's go ahead and actually use this, right? So if we were to go to our actual sign in, right, we can just create like an OAuth array, right, which is gonna be set up to like an empty array. No, not an empty array. So it's just gonna be an array of strings, right? So this is gonna be Google, Facebook. Sorry, my bad. I don't know what I did there. Right? Facebook, right? And Apple. So that's what we're gonna use. And just here, what we're then gonna use is that OAuth array.map, because we're gonna be mapping that array, and we're just gonna have those items in there, right? And we're just gonna use an arrow function for that. And what we're then gonna do is actually return, right, our actual OAuth container, right? And we shouldn't forget that we need to pass in our actual item. So our actual item will be our actual icon name, right, that we've set up there, right? So yeah, let's see what actually happens, right? So this says that's wrong. Okay, yeah, which is pretty much true, because that's not what, yeah, actually, yeah, that worked, right? So now we actually seeing these over here, right? But if we come over here, we'll see like a specific warning, and it says each child in the list should have a unique key, right? So how you can go ahead and actually fix that up is actually here. We'll just use this index, right? And we'll just say the key is set up to an index, right? Because that index is just going to be a unique identifier, since it's starting from 0, 1, 2, right? Since we have 3 items over there. Alrighty, so seeing that we've actually done that, so now we can go ahead and actually see if we can set up that OAuth container view, right? Let's just call this OAuth container view, and yeah, let's come here and actually do that. So with this, I guess the only thing is flex direction is going to be set up to row, right? So once we set up like our flex direction set up to row, we would also want to set up like our actual column gap. So our column gap is going to be 10 pixels, right? And wanna, let's see, justify content center. Alrighty, so yeah, that's what we're gonna need over there. And once we've actually justified like our actual content to center, we can then go ahead and let me see, let me just try save that. We can add in like just the margin top of like 30 pixels, just to give it a bit of some room. Actually 20 pixels, right? 20 pixels should be fine. And if we were to go to this OAuth containers component, right, So we can actually add over here that border radius of like 10, right? So this should actually, yeah, so this should be pretty much all good, right? So that should be pretty much all good to go. Righty. So, but there's a tiny little bit of stuff that are actually left out, right? And that's just our actual alternative, like that's actually like our alternative text, right? Because over here we've got like create a new account, and then just here a user might think that this is how you go ahead and create a new account, right? So the only thing that we'd want to then add over there is have like so for it to come there, this would come somewhere here. So that would be the view. Okay, let's just have another view. Let's have another view, which is going to be set to this. Yeah, we need this to be set to that, right? Which is then going to wrap this. Okay, my bad. Okay, and then here you can just have a text. So this text will say or continue with. So this would set up to like an or continue with. And over here we'll just use like styles dot alternative text and styles dot what was the one? Small. I think it was small semi text, right? So you see over there, because we already defined small alternative small semi text, that takes that styling. So the only thing now we need to go do is actually create this alternative text, right? So with the alternative text, we just want to give it the same color as this one. Okay, so we'll just say color is set up to that. Okay, so the color of that would be set up to that. And then for the alternative text, let's see, that would be having that. Okay, so the margin would be 65 pixels, and this would be 30 pixels, right? Yeah, so basically this is what's gonna happen, right? So margin top of that would be that, and your right. But now it seems like this is like far apart, right? So how we can go ahead and fix that is come here and set this to 10. Let's see. Yeah, 10 shouldn't be bad. Okay, yeah, so we've actually now created like our actual login screen. So hence you can see if you type over here, you should get the text. Then if you were to type here, that should also give you some other text, right? So currently this is not going to be showing, since I think iPhone doesn't allow to when you're actually sharing your screen. I think it hides that. That's why it's not showing here, right? But alternatively, you should be seeing like those asterisks or dots for that password, since you've secured that text, right? So now the next thing that we would want to then create is actually our register page, right? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and actually do that, right? So what we'd need is actually copy this like literally copy that. So we'll come here, literally paste, copy paste, right? That's just the life of a developer, right? Copy and paste, right? Okay, so just put that there, then have that stylings set up. So now what should actually happen is, okay, let's go ahead and actually set up those style sheet. So we'll just import these style sheets, save, and let's see what it actually complains about. It probably should complain, not now, right? It should actually complain about something else, right? Which probably is that text opacity, right? That should complain about that as well. So let's see what happens. So if now I were to go to, if I were to try to go to that screen, it should complain, right? So I'll just import the stuff that I need to import. And it's also complaining about the safe area that doesn't know that, right? It's save, go to the page, it's complaining about OAuth. So just make sure that we import OAuth. If I go to the page, okay, now it's gonna complain about div, and this is because this touch opacity is coming from React Native Web. And yeah, now what you'll see is actually if you go to now the register screen, you'll actually see the same screen as the login because we just copied and pasted, right? But now the benefit is we can just, you know, use what we have and actually easily create that screen, right? So we at sign up, we're gonna say this is create account, right? And if I were to save that, you'll see it's gonna say create account. So and this is gonna be set up to that. So if I were to go to create account, you'll see. Alrighty, so that's gonna be create an account, right? And yeah, so now that we set this text for create an account, so you can explore all the existing jobs, right? Okay, but now we want to change this up a bit, right? So the only thing we're going to change over here, I think it's just the text. Maybe we'll set this text to like 14 pixels, right? If I go ahead and actually save that up, righty. And let's see if I were to set this to 100%, what would happen? So if I go to create an account, yeah. So if I set up that text to 100%, then that should look a bit better. Alrighty, so yeah, and then the next thing that I'd also want to set up over there is some more custom inputs. So I'm gonna have like an email, password, and confirm password, right? So over here, I'll add an extra one, which is gonna be confirm password. Alrighty, so if I were to go there, now I've got 3 inputs, right? Which is good. Then right here for this, I'll just change this to sign up. Actually sign up like that. Then instead of create a new account, what I'll do is already have an account, right? And for already have an account, I need to go back to the login screen when I click that button. So now if I go to the register page and click already have an account, I should be able to go back to the login screen. So now let me just go back there, right? So we know for creating like an account, we cannot have like a forgot password. So this can be removed. right? If I remove that over there, and yeah, so that's just basically it. But another thing that you can actually utilize is let me just check over here. Instead of having that boring like Facebook icon, right? So if I were to go to like a font awesome, right? I just want to see what they have for Facebook. It's Facebook. Okay, you can have like Facebook Square. So you can have something like Facebook Square. So Square is UAR, right? You can have Facebook Square. And if I was to go to there, you'll see that's that Facebook Square, right? Oh, and another thing that I didn't set up. Interesting. I was wondering why my icons are so small, right? So it's the size of the icon, right? So this is supposed to be set up to like 24, right? Now you can see those icons like a bit better, right? So now if I were to now save that, okay, this is all proper, but we're seeing something really strange, right? And this is in our sign up, like our actual sign up button is really close. It's actually close to that, you know, to that confirm password. So how we can actually fix that is, where's our actual sign up? We can do this over here. So we can actually do this events, right? So we can just set up a margin top, right? Margin top, and that's going to be set up to like 30 pixels, right? And yeah, basically. So if I go ahead and actually go to that page, I should have the ability to see that I've actually spaced that up like properly. So yeah, we've actually created the UI for the login and sign up page. And we are done for this video. So if you're new to the channel and you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, peace.